Welcome to this presentation on Advocacy for FIRST. Advocacy is a great initiative to become involved with to help grow FIRST and to also build your own personal skills. I really hope you enjoy today's presentation. So my name is Megan Volkening. I'm team captain of GRAFFITI FTC team 18367. I started my journey with FIRST in advocacy in 2019 at the National Advocacy Conference. And I've since attended the virtual advocacy conference in 2020, became a founding member of the Wisconsin FRC Advocacy Committee, and I'm working on an international advocacy project as well. Advocacy in FIRST is something that I've become super passionate about, and I'm really excited to get to share my experience, and hopefully some of you will decide it's something that you might want to get involved with as well. In today's presentation, you're going to first learn about the National Advocacy Conference, which is in Washington, D.C. each year. And then I'll talk about the Wisconsin Advocacy Committee and the event that we're going to be hosting next month. And then about the benefits of advocacy and why you should get involved and how it can help others. And then a little bit about my personal story with advocacy. So the most important thing to understand is just what is advocacy. So advocacy is talking with legislators to help your cause. In our case, advocacy would be used to help increase both awareness and support for the FIRST program across the country. So advocacy can include meeting with legislators, sending them emails, calling them, and more. Advocacy is really all about building relationships with people who can make a difference by helping support your team and teams around you. So even if maybe your team doesn't need money or help, advocacy is a really great way to just help the FIRST program grow as a whole. Advocacy is not really about supporting a specific candidate, even though it's in politics. It's more about sharing your idea and what's important to you. So FIRST with as many different legislators as possible. So now that you have a little background about what advocacy is, I'm going to be talking about one opportunity to become involved with Advocacy for FIRST, which is the National Advocacy Conference, or the NAC. So the NAC is an annual conference in Washington, D.C. It consists of 2 training days and then 1 day where you talk with your congressman in the Senate and House of Representatives. It's a really great experience to help FIRST and also to learn about how the government works. The last in-person NAC was held in 2019. In 2019, there were 65 FIRST teams attending from 22 different states, which was around 200 to 250 participants. There was actually 5 teams from Wisconsin, which was the most we'd ever had, and it was a really great turnout for Wisconsin teams, and a lot of the people who attended are now seniors, so we're hoping to get some more people involved to go back next year and in the future. So you may be wondering, if I do attend the NAC, what would you really do there? So the first thing you would do is attend 2 training days. At these training days, you would learn about the government and the federal government's budgeting, how they decide what to spend their money on, and then how it gets approved. Another really cool thing you get to do is you get to talk to other teams there. Everyone stays at the same hotel in Washington, D.C. There's meals and breaks where you get to kind of talk to other teams, which is really cool to meet teams that are just as passionate about helping FIRST as you are. You'll also practice how to have your meetings. You'll practice what to tell them about FIRST, how to respond to certain questions they ask, and just how to create an overall good impression of yourself and of the FIRST programs. And at the conference, you'll hear presentations from other teams as well who have been working on state advocacy initiatives, and they share what they're doing at a state level, so you can maybe get inspired to start something in your own state as well. And then lastly, you learn about potential bills and current legislation that are used to support FIRST and STEM. So you kind of have an idea of what is currently done, so you can knowledgeably talk about that. The thing that I thought was really the coolest about going to the NAC was all the guest speakers that would come in and speak. So in those 4 days, we actually had, or 2 days, we had 8 total speakers come and talk to us, and they had a large variety of backgrounds. My personal favorite was the top one, Dr. Kelvin Drogemeyer, who is actually the director for the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. And I think that meeting with or hearing from him was really cool because you got to hear about currently what he's working on and what he does. And then it was cool to see how he thought that FIRST was such a great experience, and he's one of the top people in STEM policy in the country. And as you can see, there's also many other speakers, legislative directors, the senior manager for government and public affairs from LEGO, a director of STEM initiatives for after-school activities, and the director of federal legislation for the national school boards. So really hearing all these different perspectives is really cool. They all have something to do with whether it's STEM or schools or after-school activities. They're all really interesting to hear from. And one topic they did present on was the Every Student Succeeds Act. This is a big part of federal education funding, and it's something you definitely learn a lot more about if you attended the NAC. But I just wanted to give you a brief overview so you're kind of aware of some of the things you might be able to advocate for. So there are many parts of this act, but in FIRST Advocacy, we focus on Title IV Part A, which is basically used to support a well-rounded education, which can include funding FIRST teams. And this is a really great infographic that shows what Title IV Part A is. And the first thing to understand in order to advocate, which was something I learned in 2019, was that this bill has been passed for years to come at $1.6 billion, which is a lot. But each year, the Congress actually chooses how much they actually want to spend on it. So you can see in 2018, they only actually spent 1.1 billion. And then in 2019, they spent 1.17. And I think in 2020, it's about 1.2. So we're still missing about $400 million that they choose not to spend it on. So one thing we do ask when we go in our meetings is hey, we see is there a reason this isn't being funded? And we really encourage you to try to give out all the money you can to go to education. And so once they approve it each year, the Congress approves that much funding, and then it's split into all 50 states, and then all 50 states split it up into each school district. So school districts will receive a certain amount of money, and then they can choose what they want to spend it on, whether it's well-rounded education, safe and healthy schools, or technology. So it's great funding, but it doesn't necessarily go to FIRST. It's just up to the school districts, but it's really great just to get more money for education as well. One thing that I thought was really cool, though, is we actually were able to get a bill passed that specifically supports FIRST, which is the Kristen McAuliffe Coin Act. And it allows up to 350,000 coins to be made to honor Kristen McAuliffe, who was the teacher that died in the space shuttle disaster. And for each coin sold, FIRST actually receives $10. And this was passed in September 2019, which was about 3 months after I attended the National Advocacy Conference. And this was a big thing we hit on to tell our legislators, our congressmen and senators, approve this bill. And then just a few months later, it was approved, and the coins are going to go for sale next year. We're not exactly sure when they'll be released, but they will be released sometime in 2021. So now that you know about some bills we advocate for and a little bit about what the training days are like and the guest speakers, but I'm also sure that you're interested in learning about what you actually do at a meeting and what the meetings with your representatives are like. So in the meeting, you will talk with your congressman, or sometimes you talk with one of their staff members about FIRST. You can share your personal stories to connect with them, and you should really tell them about how FIRST has impacted you and how you believe that it's such a good program that can impact others. You can also use statistics. I know that there's some on the FIRST website, and they also give you some at the NAC about how students learn new skills and go into good career paths from FIRST. And after you kind of establish that FIRST is really important, you should present your ask. And an ask is basically what you want them to do. So at the 2019 NAC, that was increase funding for the Every Student Succeeds Act and pass the Kristen McAuliffe Coin Act. And then lastly, it's just really important that you build a relationship with them. So you want to try to it's really great to go into one meeting, but after that, if you can email them occasionally or call them, or at the more state level, maybe go back and meet with them so that they really start to remember who you are and remember that your program is super important. So here's a picture from when I went to the NAC in 2019. And I was able to meet with both Senators Baldwin and Johnson, as well as Representatives Grothman and Stile. And being in this was a picture from the House of Representatives building, and also we went into the Senate building. Was really just so cool to like be like actually like walk on Capitol Hill and go into all the meetings. And meeting with the people is a little intimidating, but doing it made me really interested in STEM policy and also makes me more comfortable in other situations. And it's really cool to be like, I do FIRST, and I also like even talk to some of the people in the highest positions in the country about it, which is really, really cool. So like I mentioned before, relationship building at the NAC is super important part of what we try to do. And as I mentioned, you can connect with your congressman and try to build that relationship with them. But another group of people that you can make connections with at the NAC is other teams. So this is a picture of all the Wisconsin attendees from 2019. And by building this relationship with the other teams, we were able to start the Wisconsin Advocacy Committee. And we also built relationships with teams from across the country. And it's a really cool place. You're not competing against them there, but you just get to talk with them at the hotel and try to make FIRST better, which is like a common thing you want to do together. We met with a team. We met a team from North Dakota who we actually later connected with on like a video call, and we tried to work on some things with them. And then we also just made connections that we've used to try to help get Wisconsin going for teams who had more experience in advocacy. And then here's another picture from Washington, D.C. trip. This is, my team was in the white, and then the NAC and FRC team now from Wisconsin in the red, and an FTC World Championship winning team from West Virginia is in the blue. And we got to just tour Washington, D.C. together. So you spend a lot of time working on advocacy, but you also get to have a lot of fun if you go on the trip. So I highly recommend you try to come. Like I said, attending the NAC was one of like the best experiences I've ever had. It really opened my eyes up to potential careers that combine kind of multiple passions that I've had, like in STEM, but then also in kind of more like language arts and persuasion. I really enjoy doing stuff like that. So it's opened my eyes up to maybe going into a career in STEM policy, and I'm really interested in double majoring in engineering and political science in college. And I think this was a big factor in making me want to do that. And going has also helped me get involved in state and international advocacy. Like I said, just going to the NAC, you know, we started the Wisconsin Advocacy Committee, and I'm also working on a project in Israel, getting a national advocacy conference set up there. And yeah, it was so fun as well. It was just an amazing trip. So if you think it sounds like fun, I highly encourage you to consider attending the NAC this summer in 2021. The conference is going to be held in person, just at a lower capacity from June 20th to June 22nd. If you're interested in the NAC, you can always follow their Twitter, which is at FIRST NAC, and you'll get updates on what they're doing and stuff like that. And you can also, to register, you would go to mysasa.org. SASA is a brand new nonprofit organization started by the founders of the National Advocacy Conference to kind of start organizing it a little bit more soundly. And so you can see on their website, you can just go to the National Advocacy Conference. Registration is not actually open yet, but it should be opening in the next coming weeks. Yeah, so it's just a really amazing experience, and I think you should really consider attending and bringing some of your team members with you. So the next thing I will be talking about is Wisconsin Advocacy, which if you don't think it's realistic for you to go to the conference in Washington, D.C., you can still get involved at a state level. The Wisconsin Advocacy Committee was founded following the 2019 NAC. This is actually a picture of all the Wisconsin teams at our hotel in Washington, D.C. And after one of the training days, we were like, hey, this is really cool. how can we bring this back to our state? So we all kind of worked together there at the hotel to make the starting plans, which turned into us creating the Wisconsin Advocacy Committee. It right now consists of 4 FIRST teams from Wisconsin, 2 FTC, and 2 FRC teams, but we're really looking to add some more teams to help us get this going. So if any of you are interested, that was definitely an option. We meet on Zoom every 1 to 2 months to kind of work on our advocacy plan. So it's not a huge time commitment, but it's really a very impactful and fun thing to do. And just our goal is to use advocacy to increase awareness, funds, and resources for teams in Wisconsin. The first event that we're planning is actually our January Advocacy Day. Our committee has been working really hard to plan an advocacy day, and we're looking at doing it in late January. We haven't confirmed the date yet with all the changing competition dates for FTC, but we're hoping it'll be in the end of January. And the goal of this is to teach other Wisconsin teams who haven't already been involved in advocacy how to advocate and to guide them through what to do at their meetings, and then they will go and meet with their own representatives. So if you are interested in starting to become involved, we're doing this training day and we really encourage you to attend, and this is a great way to get started. So if you are interested in attending and starting advocacy, please attend our advocacy day, which will be probably in late January. And then after that, you'll be able to meet with your state representatives in a virtual meeting, and you'll really get started with advocacy. And you can also, if you really enjoy that event, you can join the Wisconsin Advocacy Committee and help to plan events like that in the future, which is really great as well. And if you're interested in that, you can email firstwiadvocacy@gmail.com to learn more about the opportunities, or if you're interested in getting involved. And lastly, you can attend the 2021 NAC and get involved at the national level as well. Finally, advocacy is just really impactful, and to help both FIRST and to help yourself grow as a person. Advocacy is a great way to convince legislators to give more money and support of the FIRST program, and also just make them aware that it exists. Some of them don't know anything about it, but if they start learning about it, it will help us grow and sustain FIRST. It can also help you grow personally, and becoming an advocacy will expose yourself to new career opportunities you may not have considered, but you might find really interesting. It will also help you build new skills like how to have meetings, build professional relationships, and teach you how to speak with others. Overall, advocacy is just a really amazing experience that I really think you should all consider getting involved with. That's all I have for today. So if you guys have any questions, just put them in chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. As she said, any questions, throw them in the chat, and I will read them out loud for you. Or if, Megan, they're sent directly to you, feel free to read them as well.
Hi, Megan. I see that Miriam is in here as well. And Miriam attended the NAC with us, I want to say 3 years ago now. Miriam, are there any
3 years ago? Yeah.
Are there any that you'd like to make?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, my screen froze.
We can still see you.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, I can hear now. Sorry. Gotcha. I'm really happy that this is happening at a statewide level, and I'm really proud of all of you. You're all doing amazing work. And yeah, this is all amazing. It's very important for sure to do this work, because exactly like all you just mentioned, it's the foundation of really helping robotics succeed at all levels, and just helping students to learn about what's out there. It also definitely helped me learn a lot about oh wow, I never really considered a job or something in government, and now I've been more open to that aspect of things and how that interrelates with robotics and STEM. So great job.
All right, Megan, it looks like we have a question. Is the advocacy specifically for students, or can team mentors get involved too?
Awesome. That's a great question. It can definitely be both. I know at the National Advocacy Conference, teams bring like a lot of mentors because you need your mentors to come and travel with you. And they can also attend the training days, which they all attend the training days. And they also go to the meetings. At the meetings, mostly the students speak, but the mentors can also have a great impact as well, helping out and just helping it get going and running.
I would just like to say I have attended the NAC conference twice. Oh, sorry if this is echoing. I'm in a different room. I have attended the NAC conference twice in person in Washington, D.C., and it was really, as Megan said, it was really an eye-opener. It was for a mentor who's been around for a while. It really is a great experience, and I would recommend anybody, you know, once we can have more people attend, it is a wonderful experience, and you just, you know, you get a little tidbit of you know, all the complexities of the government working and stuff, and it's it really is a wonderful experience, and like a lot of other things in FIRST, it's really nice to meet teams from all over the country. Like Megan said, there were teams from all over the country, and it's really nice to just get together and share information, and you know, what works for one team might work for another team. So I'm all about, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's share information, and, you know, let's all work together. And this is a great example of teams from across the country coming together and sharing information. And it really does, like, I know, you know, when you have 200 people storming Capitol Hill on that Tuesday, we're there, it really does make a big impact, because you're standing in the hall waiting to go in to talk to these legislative people, and other people are going by and they're like, wow, there's a lot of students around here, because a lot of times it's all adults speaking to the representatives, and it really is impactful when students are there and lobbying for, you know, more STEM education funding and stuff. So it really, you might, you know, think you're just a little grain of sand in a great big, you know, ocean, but it really does make a difference, and it is a wonderful experience. So I would highly recommend it, and I'm really thankful that you guys are taking this on and going full steam, and doing more in Wisconsin. It's all going to be very, it's working. It's wonderful. So thank you for all you guys are doing, because it's only going to make things better. So thank you.
Thanks.
Megan, I did have one question.
Okay.
Are there any specific like future goals that you are all looking to achieve in the next few years, whether that's something that you'll achieve while you're still working as on this committee, or something in the future that you're looking to focus on?
Yeah, so our like immediate goals, I guess, for our January advocacy is more so just to get the legislators to know about us, and then to have them keep the same funding for a DPI grant, which provides $500,000 to robotics teams in Wisconsin. And what we're going to be advocating for upcoming now is just to keep that funding sustained and not have them drop down, especially with like COVID, to make sure that they think that that's still important. I don't know, Emma, if you have anything to add for like other goals that we have.
That's mainly it. You hit it right on the head. And with the funding, a really important thing that we're looking for is at the moment with COVID and the current circumstances is maintaining that funding level. Last year's DPI funding that's for this season was decided before COVID hit. And so that funding was decided before any of the financial burdens that the government is currently experiencing happened. So we are hoping to maintain that funding level and eventually increase it. We would love for, and we know that this is a common goal among FIRST people across the state, is that we we can have access for every kid across the state to have access to a FIRST program, so that every child has that opportunity. Whether they use it or not is up to them, but that it's available. And if you look to northern Wisconsin, there's not as many teams up there. But our goal is to one day get up there and to reach all the kids across the state, because we know the benefits of the FIRST programs, and now it's time to share it with others.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Any other questions? Please put them in the chat. We have about 6 minutes left in this breakout room. So we would love to keep answering questions on that. So I'll just wait a little bit to see if there's any more questions.
And if there's not any questions, Megan, I think this would be a great time if you have like a fun experience that you had at the NAC or something just wild that happened. I know every year I go, something interesting or kind of crazy happens that we get to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I can just share a little bit about what the trip was like and kind of some really fun things that happened. I would say one of my favorite parts of like the trip was just getting to like see all of the like monuments with other FIRST teams and kind of get to connect with other FIRST teams, and then also kind of learn about like the history and stuff. And looks like we have another question. Is there a talking point PDF or such that you can share with teams for use in spreading FIRST awareness in their communities also? Emma, I'm not really sure. Do we have like a PDF or talking points that they could use to share FIRST in their community?
We are going to be working on putting one together.
Okay.
We don't have one currently, but we're going to be meeting in the next week or so to prepare for our event that we have coming up in January, and we'll make sure that's on our list of things to do.
Yeah, and then if you do attend our January event, we would be talking about like what to talk about at the meeting, so you'd kind of learn that information as well. I guess if no one has any other questions, I can just talk a little bit about another thing I'm working on with advocacy, which is planning a national advocacy conference in Israel. So our team is actually partnering with another FTC team in Israel that we actually connected with on social media. We had sent out a post to recruit students on our business team, and they actually said, oh, what are some things that your business team does? And we talked to them about advocacy, and now we meet with them on Zoom calls, and they will be hosting an advocacy event there in January or around January as well. So really, if you get involved with any one of these Wisconsin or national advocacy, some opportunities that you'll get can really be really, really cool, and even things that you would not expect. But I think that just going to that first conference and saying, yeah, I guess I'll go, was really, really cool. I had only been in FTC for about 2 months when I signed up to go to the NAC, but it really has been one of my favorite parts of being involved in FIRST.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Since we have a minute, I was just going to ask, I saw James comment about talking points to share information in the FIRST community. Was that basically geared towards advocacy or just sharing FIRST in general? Because Emma and I we have lots of literature and information, and FIRST on their website, they have some, I don't know if everybody has access, but we have access to a bunch of PowerPoint presentations about what is FIRST. So I guess if you have more specific information, both, okay. If you want to send Emma and I an email with something specific that you're looking for, we can try to help you with that. And Emma's going to have, okay, new information for communities to offer funds. Teams rolling business. Okay. Emma's going to post a slide with our emails, addresses on that during lunch or during the end. But otherwise, mine is jblau@firstinspires.org, and Emma is ESCHUFF@firstinspires.org.
I also encourage you to reach out to our advocacy email if you have questions as well. We'd love to help you from that perspective as well. So Megan, if you want to pop that in the chat before the session is over, that would be great.
Here, it's on the screen right now as well.
Cool. Thank you.